Okay, so guys, I know on the Talking to the Moon video of Bruno Mars, I've been talking about my mother and all this stuff, and it's really affected me and my choices and everything, and I want to talk about it in this video. And so, when I was really little, um, my mom died from drug abuse. I was 3 at the time, and I came home from with my grandmother who raised me since my mom couldn't. She took me to Denny's, and I came back home through the front door. And right at this desk, when we walked in, my mother was sitting with her head back like this, and there's two heroin needles right on the desk. And so I didn't know at the time that she was dead or that she was sleeping. And and my grandma thought she was sleeping too, but she said on the inside that she knew she was dead. And so my grandma called the police. They came over. They found out that she was dead. I didn't know. I was at. I didn't even go to the funeral. My 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 grandma sent me in the back of the house. But let's rewind back to the beginning. And so um my grandma said that my mother started drugs before I was even born. She hung out with the wrong people. She she was bad, hung out with the wrong crowd. She was bullied as a kid. Did all these drugs and everything. And when I was born, I was I had a different type of bipolar and ADHD. It's like the kind of bipolar is that I can't handle my emotions, where I'd end up putting it on other people. And so and with the ADHD, and I was born sort of a heavy kid because of that, and I was born early. I think because of the drugs, and so I was supposed to be born in October, but I was born in August, and so and so when I was born, um, I was put I was raised by my mom a little bit, and once I was old enough, but my grandma mostly raised me, I had to have a babysitter because my mom never took care of me and my grandma had work. And so at work, I had this babysitter where I'd go over by her house. The worst thing is that it was you know how big families in Arabian or Mexican families, they have big families. The babysitter was supposed to be Amy, the adult, but everybody left the house except for her older son. And so he used to always hit me when I was in the babysitter. My grandma never believed me when I kept on telling her, but one day I came up with a mark on my back, and so my grandma had to quit her job to raise me, and so the thing I know the and so when I was with my babysitter before, um and when my grandma stopped working, my mom took care of me the one day, and she left me home alone. My grandma called the next door neighbor to come and see if I was okay, but instead of seeing if I was okay, the neighbor called the cops because I was playing DCFS. DCFS is like a what do you call it? DCFS is like one of those it's like an adoption center, and the kids who it's Department of Child Family Services, and so it's like children who can't be taken care of, um, or kids who were put out of the home, put up for adoption, go there. And so I didn't know at first, but my mom, when I was first born, and I didn't know that until I was put in DCFS, that my mom had another baby named Elena. She was born after me, and so since my mom couldn't take care of her and Elena had the same thing my mom had, a drug problem and all that stuff, she was put in up for adoption. And so since I was in DCFS, you're allowed to see sibling to sibling if they're in DCFS too. And so I used to always see her, but when my grandma had to wait 2 years to get me back, I had to wait 2 years to get me back. She she had to make it. She chose me, so I couldn't see Elena anymore. I can't even find the picture with me and her. And the worst thing is that I always wanted a little sister. And so, I'm sorry. And so when I was so when my grandma got me back, my mom always came in the house with my dad and fought a lot, and everything. And so yeah, and so when my grandma got me back and everything, my mom kept on coming in the house and she went in jail and everything and all that stuff. And so my grandma had to make a decision to either have me or my mom. My grandma didn't choose twice. Think twice. She chose me because she said, quote unquote, that my mom already wasted her life. And so we were both on our knees, my mom and me, and I was on my knees, bed crying like crazy. And my mom was crying like crazy too. And my mom was put back in jail. She had to hang out, but the back burns us out and everything. But I think it's a little easier than doing Draw My Life because it explains every single detail. And so with my mom, she loved me a lot. She just, you know how usually if you have a special food or something and then you can't stop eating it, it's the same thing with drugs with my mother. She couldn't stop doing drugs. And another thing that really affected me now, and when I'm older now, is when I was 2, my mother left me in a pool. She was inside the house and she left me inside the backyard pool. And she left me. She didn't even notice at first. And so I had to swim myself. That's why I'm scared of water now. I was 2 at the time, and so I'm the only one except for my mother who would remember that. My dad died 3 years after my mom did. And I also have a sister, a big sister, my sister and I shared the same dad. And so our dad died, and when it happened, we were both devastated. And so, my sister had a different mother, but instead of her mother just leaving her and coming back, she left my dad and her. And my mom was not even married to my dad, so they weren't even married. And so they split up like after I was born. And so my sister, we're close now, but we cry a lot. She knew my dad a lot more than me, and I knew her dad a lot more than she did. And so but I just really miss her. When my mom I always blame myself for my mom's death because maybe if I wasn't born, she wouldn't be so stressed and having need to do drugs. But let me see if I can find the letter that I found. I can't find it right now. There was a note when my mother was in jail, and she was in jail, and so she wrote a letter about saying that everything was gonna go right, everything was gonna be good, everything was gonna happen, but it never did. Never did. And so later in the years, I got over it a little bit, over the death, but I I gained so much weight from the depression, and so it really affected my decisions with everything. So I know. Okay, I'll get off. And so it really affected me. I'm gonna have part two about it once I get everything sorted out. This is part one of the story. Okay, bye guys.